The Department of Government Efficiency could have been born out of my own mind, right? Because, as a federal employee, I've been fighting the bureaucracy for 15 years because nothing was logical. That was all about the process and not about the results. So I hope the administration comes in. I hope that I can help in some way, shape, or form. And I'm optimistic because there are good people. We just need to make sure they're the ones in charge.
All right, so let's bring in the author of the upcoming book, All the President's Money. Great title. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, my second favorite chairman of the Oversight Committee. Look, nobody knows this case better than you. It's hard for me to believe, Chairman, that the Bidens are only going to give a immunity agreement to and let off the hook Hunter Biden. It's going to be a lot broader than that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you go back to our final report, we issued criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, not just on Hunter Biden, but also on Jim Biden. And I can tell you, Jason, from having Jim Biden's personal checks and his checks in his LLC, the guy's got millions of dollars worth of loans from shady people, loans that when he was under transcribed interview with us, he said he had no loan documentation, he had never paid any interest, never paid any principal. The IRS, as Gary Shapley or Joseph Ziegler, the two great whistleblowers, would tell you, that's income after so many years. When you get a loan and you're not going to pay it back, and it's obvious you're not going to pay it back, that's an income. So he has millions of dollars of taxes he's evaded. He's been in schemes that would make one believe that he was trying to sell pardons or some type of government favor to these shady characters. So the whole Biden family should be under review for Joe Biden right now as he's making those very generous pardons.
Congressman, and both of the whistleblowers have talked about this at length, that it was Joe Biden's Department of Justice, it was Merrick Garland, and even nameless, faceless individuals there, saboteurs who corrupted the investigation into not just Hunter Biden, but Joe Biden. With President Trump coming in, with Pam Bondi running as Attorney General, how do you kind of cut out that rot and get to the heart of the cover-up and make sure that the House is cleaned and the people who are responsible for the cover-up do pay the price?
I strongly encourage the next Attorney General, Ms. Bondi, to work closely with Shapley and Ziegler, the two IRS whistleblowers, because they know exactly who in the deep state were involved in the cover-up. If you ask me who I hope is held accountable in this, obviously I want to see the Biden family held accountable, but I want to see the deep state actors that were involved in the cover-up. You had four agencies. You had the FBI, the Department of Justice, the IRS, and the Securities and Exchange Commission, all at one point or another had investigations of Biden family members. And every time it got to the top, because why would anyone pay Jim Biden or Hunter Biden a penny? They were paying for access for Joe Biden, who was vice president. And every time it got to Joe Biden, they were told to stand down. Those government employees have abused their trust. They need to be held accountable.
And Chairman, one thing that bothers me that probably needs to get a little bit more attention is that the Bidens, particularly Hunter Biden, had no trouble cashing in on all his misdeeds by writing a book and the supposed Netflix movie that he's coming up with. I thought he flaunted that in front of the committee there in Congress. What do you think about that? The topic of their profiting from this, that was no problem, but now deserves a pardon.
Absolutely. You look at that Netflix documentary, it's being funded by Kevin Morris. Kevin Morris is the one that paid his IRS back taxes. He's the one that paid his legal fees for Abby Lowell to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. We believe over $8 million. And I mean, where's the accountability here? He's profiting off every aspect of Joe Biden's public service, and he's profiting in the worst possible way. So look, I hope that the new Department of Justice and the Trump administration takes this seriously. I hope that they say we're going to hold people accountable for bad behavior. It starts at the top with the Bidens, but it's not just the Bidens. It's the deep state actors, Jason. You know the deep state as well as anyone, and they need to be held accountable because there is a two-tier system of justice in America, and the American people saw that and they voted to change that when they voted for Donald Trump.
Before we move on to one more thing, you just hit on something incredibly important. 2014, 2016, time barred, statute of limitations has run out. So why would other people in the Biden familia or in the circle need pardons? Well, because maybe it's an ongoing conspiracy that's run well past 2016, but I digress. But moving on to this, you, Oversight Committee, will hold a hearing on the census, how it miscounted to benefit blue states and actually hurt red states, Congressman.
Yeah. So the census was taken during COVID. Obviously, there weren't many federal employees that needed an excuse not to go to work. The census workers would be at the top of that list. We know the census people would go and knock on doors for people. They've done that for a long time, decades, if someone didn't fill out the census forms. But they didn't do that last census. And what it appears happened, they just estimated the populations. And guess what? They underestimated Republican states and overestimated the population of Democrat states. And as a result, that probably cost Republicans as many as 4 seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. Because
isn't that amazing how it always seems to fall that direction? It's also that directs where the federal funds go. Congressman Comer, Chairman, thanks for joining us on The Bottom Line.
Thank you all.